Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube today. And yes, we are back on YouTube.com this week. Your Ridiculously Over Good Brother Anthony Florio back with you again, joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher and the Twisted Angel, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Judy Woodson. As you know, last week we were, due to technical difficulties beyond my control, we had to move this show over to my Anchor.com podcast, but thankfully, we're back on the mothership this week, and not sure where the phenom Michael Bullock is. He's running late, so if he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll see him the next time. So, Monday Night Raw, of course, live tonight from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, on the USA Network, and 24 hours removed from the wildest, craziest, most chaotic Survivor Series of all time. But aside from that, it was domination for Monday Night Raw, proving once again that Monday Night Raw always has been the A show and always will be the A show. And we started it off with an in-ring segment with acting general manager Baron Corbin. He brings out Commissioner Stephanie McMahon, and then they get interrupted by Braun Strowman. And, well, we knew we were going to get Strowman and Corbin at some point, and it was announced that at TLC, Braun Strowman will face Baron Corbin. Now, a lot of people say, who cares? Well, you've got reasons to care, folks. A lot of reasons. Because this is, in essence, a winner-take-all match. If Baron Corbin defeats Braun Strowman, Baron Corbin will no longer be acting general manager. He will be the permanent general manager of Monday Night Raw. If Braun Strowman wins, not only does Baron Corbin get fired as general manager, but Braun Strowman will also receive a rematch with Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship in January at the Royal Rumble at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. And one more reason: tables, ladders, and chairs match. Oh my. So, well, what else is there to say except this was a solid way to start things off. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see if Braun Strowman simply beats Corbin, or if they will have him perhaps win the Royal Rumble match, and then he gets his rematch with Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, perhaps at WrestleMania 35. My early projection is I got Strowman winning that match, because I think Strowman and Lesnar will meet at the Rumble, and given the venue that it is, Chase Field, Phoenix, Arizona, 50,000 at least, I think Braun Strowman could win the Universal Championship here, and then have Strowman go into WrestleMania 35 as the Universal Champion, and finally set up the big money feud on Monday Night Raw. That is Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre. For that to happen, I think either Drew McIntyre will have to, either they have him win the Royal Rumble, or maybe he wins an Elimination Chamber match to become the number one contender, because they've done that before. Because I think Brock Lesnar's got a bigger fish to fry at WrestleMania 35, because I've heard dirt sheets of Brock Lesnar going up against The Rock at WrestleMania 35. And honest to goodness, that does not need the Universal Championship. The two of them can sell an event by name and face value alone. 2-for-1 deal. That's how we always get it on Monday Night Raw. And interesting, it was supposed to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. Baron Corbin booked Braun Strowman to face Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, but Stephanie McMahon says, we're not doing it like that. We're going to have ourselves a 6-man tag team match. You, Baron Corbin, will team up with Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. against Braun Strowman and his two partners, Elias and Finn Balor. But then during the commercial break, Baron Corbin makes this six-man not a one-fall match. Oh, no. How about a Survivor Series hangover? A 3-on-3 tag team elimination matchup. Shades of 1991 when the Legion of Doom and the Big Boss Man went up against the Natural Disasters and IRS. So, here you go. It was that six-man elimination match. It ends in a no contest because, well, McIntyre, Corbin, and Lashley beat the holy you-know-what out of Braun Strowman. So, oh, yeah. So, I like the opening beginning. It was solid, and you took a nothing match that nobody cares about to a match that just became must-see. Because it's TLC, winner-take-all stipulations for both men, a Universal title rematch for Braun Strowman, and permanent general manager job for Baron Corbin. So, I don't know, a lot to take in here. And as far as the match goes, it was going so well. And then you have that beatdown angle, which WWE has been known for all of a sudden. I can't say I'm big on, giving 30 minutes of TV time to a match without a finish. I mean, we've seen this before. We saw it with a women's match a few weeks ago. But the angle was effective in terms of giving Braun Strowman 3 heels to avenge and in getting some heat on Braun Strowman heading into the TLC pay-per-view. So that's all there is really to say on that. Unfortunately, we're going to have to NA the match because, it was thrown out, but it was really good. It's not often I say this, but this NA fight ended up being by default the fight of the night. So that's all I can say on that. I mean, a lot to take in here. Hopefully MF and Didi have processed it all. So let's find out. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. Started off with you here. Strowman, Corbin, TLC. Strowman wins. He gets his rematch with Lesnar at the Rumble at Chase Field. If Corbin wins, well, our long national nightmare becomes a permanent one.
Yeah, basically, I don't think Corbin's winning it. I don't think Corbin's going to be the Raw general manager. All indications that it could be Alexa Bliss. So, I mean, that's the rumor that I'm hearing. That's the rumor that's going around, that it could actually be Alexa who could be the next in line to be the general manager of Monday Night Raw, depending on her health and injuries and whatnot. I know there's been a lot of rumors and a lot of hearsay about that, but one way or another, it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be a very good battle, to say the very least. But with Strowman, I don't know. I mean, everything that's been flowing about, him and, the Universal title and the whole 9 yards, there's been some backstage issues with Strowman. So, I mean, we've been waiting for Strowman to be champion for so long now. Florio, I'm to the point I'll believe it when I see it. Because with the way that WWE is acting, progressing, after last night's basic beatdown at the Survivor Series, when everybody knows SmackDown Live's the better show than anything else, and you can talk to anybody in the building, and they all say SmackDown Live's better than Raw, but yet WWE, Kevin Dunn, and Vince McMahon wants to shove Raw down our stinking throats when it comes to Survivor Series. Why? Because Raw can't beat us in regular competition. Week after week, we keep serving your butts, and yet you need Daddy Dearest to save your rear ends. That's why we saw the wipeout last night. So, whatever. as far as anything else goes, it was fine. It was solid for what it was worth. The beatdown actually, I don't know if it was really that necessary. That beatdown, I mean, okay, you main, you did the beatdown last night after Braun won the match for Team Raw. You just destroyed him. Now you destroy him again tonight, and this time it was even a worse injury if you think about it, because you left something out there, Florio, that is very noticeable. Yes, it's tables, ladders, and chairs. Yes, it's at TLC, but Braun just suffered a shattered elbow when he got the steel steps to the elbow thanks to Baron Corbin after a 3-on-1 beatdown. Basically, did you just literally take Strowman out of TLC? We might not even have this fight now. You don't know. But it's frustrating. I think that's the key word, is that you take this big leap forward and now you just took out one of your biggest names. Where's the logic? Where's the smart writing, WWE? Dee Woodson, go.
There is no smart writing or anything. They don't know what they're doing. Remember, we got monkey writers on Raw. I mean, this segment, yeah, it was good for what it was worth. It was a great way to start off Raw, but we didn't need a repeat from Survivor Series. And now you've just put your main event at Jeopardy or whatever, wherever you're going to stick it in TLC. So, not much more I'm going to say about it. As you can tell, I don't have much of a voice, so Florio, take it.
Yeah, a lot to take in, like I said. So, moving on, we had the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins. He comes out, cuts a promo as we advance the Ambrose and Rollins saga, talking about how last night was 6 years to the day that the Shield made their debut at the Survivor Series, and then Dean Ambrose appeared on the Titantron there and said that he wasn't going to come out, he wasn't going to run out like a lunatic, and go. And then Ambrose had his little rebuttal, and he basically goaded Seth Rollins into that back location where he was, only he was not there. And Rollins went after the Gestapo security guards, and that's all there is to say on that. So, but the thing is, they brought up Roman Reigns. I mean, classless. That's all I can say on that. I mean, yes, it was a really good segment, but MF, I mean, without that classless and needless line there, this was still a really good segment. I mean, why do they have to use Roman Reigns' issues right now for heat? That's sick. It's classless, man.
But the thing is that this is Dean Ambrose, and actually he's reverting back called Jon Moxley. This is what he was as a heel. He actually, that's the thing that people don't really understand. Jon Moxley was Ring of Honor. This is what he did. He actually offended people. He actually did things that I can't even repeat on the show because it's a PG show. Think about Kevin Owens as Kevin Steen back in the day. You thought Kevin Owens was bad. Kevin Steen was even more berserk. He was more sadistic, more crazy, more evil. This is Dean Ambrose embracing that Jon Moxley heel attitude that basically got him over back in the day. The thing is, you thought that was bad? That is almost nothing compared to what he used to do back in the day. You thought that was offensive. Anthony Florio, I've heard worse, and he's done worse. So I'm sorry if all you powder puffs can't deal with just that little skit or that little rip. Okay, I get it. Wrong thing to say because, with Roman Reigns, the leukemia, it's definitely out of bounds. But let me tell you, that from a scale of 1 to 10 of the offense level that you're talking about, that was maybe a 3, 4 at least. He's gone worse. He's gone way worse than this. This is a PG version of Dean Ambrose. And if you don't like this, you're really not gonna like him. But if they start letting him get a little more of that, if they start letting him use a little more of that Jon Moxley area, if he starts going there, I could already tell he's gonna cause a lot of problems in WWE. Nothing more to say. Didi, what's in it's yours.
Yeah, I read something earlier today saying that, when AJ was hired, they were wanting him to be the pit bull. You just got your pit bull on Raw. Then bringing Ambrose out in this kind of character, that's pretty much kind of what they're doing. He's the he's the attack dog. You got the big dog, they have the attack dog. So no, this isn't the worst we've seen out of Ambrose. Because in the past we've seen worse. Fletch just mentioned it. So they're trying to keep it PG, but they're trying to keep it entertaining as well. But they're going to have to do a lot more work at it to really grip the people who've been watching the Ring of Honor, watching New Japan. Guys like Derek, who's into the more entertaining group over Raw. So, though I don't know if they'll ever get there or not, seeing as we have Monkey Riders, but the segment was all right. But as we go on, all the backstage segments end up being Rollins and Ambrose. So we'll just have to see how this all plays out. So, Laura, it's yours.
Yeah. I'm glad MF set me straight on that. But that was obviously Vinnie Mac's call. I mean, he's the one who feels the need to use things like a man battling leukemia as a source for heat. But other than that, like I said, even with that, it was still another really good segment between those two. So moving on here, we had a women's tag team matchup. We had Nia Jax and Tamina squaring off against Sasha Banks and Bayley. Nia Jax and Tamina win the match 11 minutes and 5 seconds. And, well, there's nothing more to say except Nia's mega heat continues if you didn't see Survivor Series last night. I know Didi Whitson finally got to see it today. And Didi Whitson, will start with you here. It's only fitting because it is the women's match after all. So Nia and Tamina, their first official match as a legitimate tag team against Sasha and Bayley, and they go over in 11 minutes and 5 seconds in what was a solid match. And man, I mean, those fans, that's the IWC poo-pooing all over Nia again.
Yep. Pretty much I'd say here you just get ready for Nia to just run through the division as she heads for her match with Rousey. It made sense that she and Tamina, they're not that great to get, they're still learning how to be a tag team together. There's no energy. And, basically you had Bayley and Sasha trying to, hold it all together, but it was still good for what it was worth. Trying to make them Nia and Tamia be, come out as the heels for this. So I'll basically give it about 2 stars. So not much more I'm going to say about it. So I toss it back to you.
Yeah. It was an all right match for the most part. Didi's absolutely right. I mean, this was about 1 to 2 stars here. I mean, Didi's absolutely right. I mean, I'll just leave it at that. I mean, with Nia and Tamina together, it's a slow, plodding match, and not even Sasha and Bayley could save it. So, yeah, this to me, I'm gonna give this 1 star for the effort. So, nothing more to say on that. So, MF, Nia and Tamina look good for the most part, but the match overall, not even Sasha and Bayley, as great as they are, could save it to make it anything really special. So,
look, at the end of the day, it's basically simple. It's to give Nia's showcase so that we see her as a legitimate threat for the Raw Women's title, heading into her fight with Ronda Rousey. And there's a lot of rumors going around about what they're gonna do with Ronda, especially leading into WrestleMania. From maybe a fight with Charlotte again to possibly calling for a match between her and Becky Lynch. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that they need to do. And something tells me that at some point, Ronda's going to have to drop the belt, because I don't think they're going to want to have, just like you were saying, Anthony, about Brock Lesnar, he doesn't need to be the Universal Champion going into WrestleMania. Something tells me that Ronda Rousey probably will not be the Raw Women's Champion going into WrestleMania when she has her mega fight with either Becky or Charlotte. And so we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out as a whole. But, I mean, that remains to be seen. So, again, Nia looked good. That's really the main reason why this fight was as successful as it was. Really nothing more to say, and we move on. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Then we had what was called a Lucha House Party rules match with all 3 members of Lucha House Party, Kalisto, Gran Metalik, Lince Dorado, squaring off against the Revival. Lucha House Party wins it. I believe the time of the fall was 2 minutes and 40 seconds or something like that. So, yeah, this was not good at all. I mean, babyface trio gets a number advantage over the heels. Yeah, okay. That was a snoozer of a fight. You didn't miss anything, believe me on that. So, now this is where we get interesting stuff here. It's not often we get a 2-for-1 deal, a second 2-for-1 deal, but we get one here. The Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey comes out and oh boy, I mean, another incredible promo. I mean, yes, the IWC contingent was, chanting for Becky Lynch. What else is new? And Becky chant, we want Becky, but nonetheless, I mean, Ronda Rousey came out and cut a wonderful promo here, talking about her upcoming title defense against Nia Jax. But she says, I'll tap out Nia, but win, lose, or draw, the next chapter of me and Charlotte would be written somehow or some way. And she said she was there to show what a true champion is. True champion doesn't pick and choose the most opportune time to fight. She said that's a challenger's luxury. She said a true champion can't be a fair weather fighter, and if you can't defend your possession, then you step aside. And then the fans got into it, and off comes her jacket. He says, "This is her on her. This is me on my worst day, and anyone who knows me knows I refuse to step aside." And she issues an open challenge, saying she doesn't deserve to be champion if she can't get the job done. And then out comes Corbin, and Corbin says no. But then Ronda says, "Hey, I've had 17 fights, and I never had to pull out a postponed one, even though I had plenty of reason to. I never did because that's what it takes to be the baddest bleep on the planet." And she said, "Find me a challenger, or maybe you want a shot at the champ." And but then Corbin finally agrees and says, "All right, I'll get you I'll find you a challenger." Oh, she got a challenger, all right. It ended up being Mickie James, but fight didn't last long. It only lasted 2 minutes and 20 seconds, but nonetheless, Ronda Rousey is still the Raw Women's Champion with the Rousey armbar. So, match is a cutout, obviously, but the promo though, oof. I mean, I think we were all expecting, more Rousey haters, but they were not large in numbers, and she had the vast majority of the crowd turning on her by the end of the segment. I mean, it doesn't mean that the problem's going to resurface again. I mean, it was a non-issue here, but I could probably say this maybe was the segment of the night because Ronda's promos, man. And like MF mentioned some time ago, you got to give credit where credit is due to Paul Heyman. I mean, because MF informed us on one of our shows some time ago that Paul Heyman is the reason why Ronda Rousey has been so much better in her promos, and this was straight up wow. So another money promo from Ronda, and you can make an argument for this to be the segment of the night. The match, not so much. I mean, it was basically a Ronda showcase to get the heat back from last night after what Charlotte Flair did to her. So there's really nothing more to say on this. So MF, you're the one who reported it. You said that Paul Heyman has been the genius behind Ronda's promos, and I think that Heyman genius was on display tonight. The match, not so much, and I feel bad for your girl Mickie James. She got beat down.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, again, you're trying to make Ronda look really strong. You're trying to make her look really good as a champion. And the thing was, the crowd was on Ronda Rousey because that was more of an IWC crowd. Tonight was more of a typical Monday Night Raw crowd. So this wasn't, as vocal or as crazy as it was. Yes, there was some spattering of boos, but those are just fans that don't know better. And then Ronda won them over by just saying, "Hey, I got to be a fighting champion. I'm not going to back down. Yes, I got my ass kicked last night, and we all saw the welts and the marks on her body. So definitely she took a beating, but she's going to say, hey, I'm here. I'm going to fight. I'm going to represent." How refreshing is that to see an actual champion who many people considered at the time, and a lot of people thought she was going to be another Brock Lesnar, a part-time champion, who actually is there fighting every week, defending, and actually having the guts to even defend the championship tonight after that. That is so refreshing to see in professional wrestling. Don't get me wrong, Ronda. My girl Becky Lynch is the man right now of WWE, and if you heard it tonight, you heard it again. People are chanting for Becky Lynch. A SmackDown talent is more over than any woman on Monday Night Raw. So take that, A-Show. And as far as that goes, yeah, squash fight for Ronda. Good for her. Congratulations. Very impressive. And, I got nothing bad to say. I can't wait for that collision course. There's going to be a fight between Charlotte and Ronda. I think we're all excited to see that fight possibly happen at the Royal Rumble. And then possibly at WrestleMania, we will finally get Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. And if that happens, let the chips fall where they may. Nothing more to say. Didi, what's in this yours, my love?
Yeah, the segment was very, very well done. I would have loved to have seen Ronda take out Corbin. I know she could do it. I mean, she's already mentioned that she was crowned in 4 different sports, with WWE being one of the 4. Hey, let her go. I mean, she could be the next China that goes through and destroys the men as much as the women. Let her go for it. She had something to prove tonight, and she proved it, and she did what she had set to do, and that was to right the wrongs, I guess you could say, of last night, where Charlotte had just lost it. But at the same time, what happened last night had to happen. So, Ronda came out strong tonight, and that's what she needed to do. So not much more I'm going to say about it. Flora, it's yours.
Yeah, so let's move on here. What do we have? The AOP squaring off against Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. Non-title match. And Bobby Roode and Chad Gable pick up the win in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Yes, it's another cutout match, but I think we've got ourselves another match for TLC on the horizon. I think Bobby Roode and Chad Gable are going to be AOP's first challengers for the Raw Tag Team Championships. So definitely something to think about there. So then there was another backstage segment with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And, that was another good segment with those two there. So then we had Ruby Riott against Natalya. Natalya wins the match in 8 minutes and 20 seconds with a roll-up move there. To be honest, I don't really want to get into this, to be quite honest, because it's another thing that I have a problem with when it comes to what the WWE is doing. I mean, the Roman thing is one thing, but they're using another man's death, not just any other man, a member of one of the greatest wrestling families of all time, the Hart family. Jim the Anvil Neidhart. You know the story. He passed away during the summer, and they're trying to generate heat and use his death to garner sympathy. I mean, even if they do have the blessings of everybody involved, I mean, it just makes the company look classless and soulless. I mean, that's all there is to say on that. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say on that. So if it's okay with you two, I'm just gonna, move on from that. I mean, the fight was fine, but that's all there is to say on that. I'm just gonna give it like a 2-star effort. But okay, this is definitely something interesting here. Ambrose and Rollins end the show, and Ambrose finally comes out, and he cuts a sadistic heel promo in the ring, and then Seth Rollins finally shows up, and then there they go at it. But Dean Ambrose at the end of the night comes out on top with not one but 2 dirty deeds, and then Monday Night Raw goes off the air for the evening. So I mean, what else is there to say? MF, I mean, crazy way to end what ended up being a back to reality edition of Monday Night Raw, which I was expecting a lot better, especially after last night.
Yeah, it's what you expected. It was a good match. It was a good way to close the show. Look, we got what we wanted. Ambrose versus Seth versus Dean. We got the battle, we got the fight, and it turned out to be as good as advertised. So yeah, solid, nothing spectacular, nothing too bad about that. It was a great way to close the show. Like you said, solid performance by everybody else. But yeah, talking about a team that swept the Survivor Series last night, you would think it would have been an incredible, unbelievable show, and it ended up being a typical average Monday Night Raw. I mean, that's. I'll get into my rating in a little bit. So, Didi, what's in this yours?
It was a very storyline based ending for the show. But yeah, it definitely was a good way to end the show. Here you thought Seth had already left, and he ends up running out there in the end when Dean's talking, and then we have the beat down, and yeah, Ambrose came out on top, but it ended the way that it should have, making the point that Dean is the new lone wolf of or as I said earlier, the pit bull of Raw. So and as far as them bringing up Roman Reigns, I mean, all these things with Natalia's dad, Jim the Anvil, and with Roman, it's nothing new. I mean, you can go back to when Lita was with Edge and they stabbed Matt Hardy in the back. That was a real storyline, or a real life thing that they turned into a storyline. WWE is notorious for doing it. They're not going to stop anytime soon. If you've heard the saying before, there's nothing new in wrestling. They'll change it up to make it look new, but nothing's new. I mean, it's all the same thing. This just proves it. I mean, they're just rehashing real life just to try to make it more interesting and try to boost the ratings. So not much more I'm going to say about it. So, Floyd, it's yours.
Yeah. You could call this the segment of the night right here. I mean, take away the incorporation of Roman Reigns into this storyline, and I like what I saw with Ambrose and Rollins tonight, and that's just it. They don't need to pull a SmackDown Live and go there. I mean, these two are more than over enough to get their feud over in a big way without using Roman Reigns for heat. But nonetheless, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose was one of the few things that I liked about this long, plodding, snoozer show, which sent us back to reality, which, there's nothing I hate more than when we have to go back to reality in our daily lives. And believe me, nobody hates it more than I do. So, but unfortunately, that's where it ended up being here tonight. So, Edie Whitson, I want to get you out of here as quickly as possible so you can rest yourself. So let's get a quick overall thought from me tonight, and then we'll let you go until the next time.
Yeah, this show definitely did not prove that Raw was the A show. I mean, yeah, Survivor Series, Raw swept. Raw dominated. Didn't see that tonight. Didn't see anything real super impressive about tonight. It was back, like you said, back to reality, back to garbage, back to something that just wasn't really worth the 3 hours that we all spent watching it. I'm going to hit it with 3 stars. I mean, it was pretty bad. I hate to say that, when you have a show that the segments are better than the matches. We only talked about one match. Or 1 or 2 matches. I mean, we didn't really talk about any of the matches. It was that bad. They didn't give us anything to really go off of. And this was supposed to be a celebration show for winning the Survivor Series. There wasn't anything there. It was just crap, garbage. And now one of your top guys is hurt and risking the match that is set up for TLC. You know, there's no guarantee now that in 4 weeks we're going to have Braun Strowman there. So, WWE, I don't know what you're planning, what you're trying to do, but tonight was a bust. Sorry, dudes. You need to get your heads out of your butt, get your monkey riders out, and start doing something productive, because crap like this is what's going to cost you viewership. Crap like this is going to cost you subscriptions to the network, because people aren't going to want to watch it. You got to give us some meat. Don't just give us the milk or the bread. You got to give us some meat. Give us something to go on. So, not much more I'm going to say about it. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
All right, good night, Dee Dee. Get some rest, and hopefully your voice will be much better going into the Cerebral Smack Talk tomorrow night.
The funny thing is, it was stronger about 2 hours ago.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yes, please go get some rest, Dee Dee. We'll see
All
you
right.
tomorrow. So,
see you tomorrow. Bye.
All right, see you tomorrow. Good night. 3 out of 10, huh? Dee Dee, I think you were being generous, with all due respect, because this was one of the worst shows of the year, if not the worst show of the year. And 24 hours ago, I was very, very pleased with what happened at Survivor Series. I mean, honest to goodness, I was expecting SmackDown Live to finally get their moment in the sun, and I would have been okay with it. Honestly, I would have. But you put Raw over 6-1 overall. Yeah, they swept the main show, but don't forget, SmackDown Live technically got a match with that tag team elimination match, and that was on the kickoff show, for goodness sakes. And they didn't even count that. But nonetheless, what was supposed to be a celebration for Monday Night Raw ended up being, like I said, a back to reality edition of Monday Night Raw, which was an absolute snoozer of a show. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were, and for the most part, that 6-man Survivor Series type match were the only saving graces of this Monday Night Raw, even though it ended in an NA. So I'm actually going to give this a 2 out of 10, because I was expecting one hell of a show tonight. Los Angeles, California, the hot spot for tonight. I mean, Staples Center had Monday Night Raw, and I thought, going head to head with the most anticipated Monday Night Football game in recent memory, which has more than lived up to the hype. Believe me, it has. Which ended up being a 5-star classic, and it ended up being even better than the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots, for goodness sakes. It's making that game look like an absolute dud. That's all I can say. So, hokey for jokey, man. I mean, WWE, I got one question for you. What do you take me for? You obviously take me for a stupid idiot and a mutton head. I mean, 24 hours ago, you had me all giddy and excited, because Monday Night Raw absolutely wiped the floor with SmackDown Live, and I was giving MF the business in the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, why is it that, well, we all know the answer to this. Vinnie Mac obviously cares. He likes Monday Night Raw way more than SmackDown Live. I mean, I would have thought SmackDown would have gone over because of the Superstar Shakeup. Because you remember the Superstar Shakeup, SmackDown Live robbed Raw clean. And that's why they've been putting on way better shows every week than Raw has. I mean, sure, Raw has put on some good shows here and there. And I'm beyond happy and blessed that last month when MF Bullock and I went to Providence, I mean, we ended up getting the Raw of the year. Fast forward a month later, this was probably the worst Raw of the year. So not even in Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, as great as those two are, could save what ended up being the dumpster fire of dumpster fires here tonight. And now Braun Strowman reportedly injured. I'm praying for the big man to be ready for next month because I don't know what's going to happen after this. So what are they going to do if he can't go? So I don't know. It's just a lot to take in right now. So 2 out of 10 for me. I could go worse, but this Raw guy, wow, what a difference 24 hours makes. 24 hours ago, happy and giddy after the clean sweep, giving MF the business, and now you've given MF a right to give me the business. So it's basically like the Jetsons, for goodness sakes. I mean, I'm like Mr. Spacely, and MF's like Cogswell. And last night you could say it was Spacely Sprockets going over Cogswell Cogs. Well, unfortunately tonight, Cogswell Cogs and MF are going to get the business on me. So tomorrow night on SmackDown Live, Daniel Bryan, you know, in one of the words of Ricky Ricardo, he's got some splaining to do. And that's exactly what he's going to do. And then the New Day, against the Bar and the Big Show in a Thanksgiving silliness fight. MF, just take it. Just take it before my head explodes.
Well, hopefully it's not as bad or as campy as that match does sound. But the thing is, AJ Styles is going to be there. So is, plus we also need to talk about the fallout from Survivor Series and that total debacle that happened. So obviously there's going to be some stuff going down. Shane even said that there might be some changes that's probably going to have to be done. So, I mean, they're alluding to some stuff that will happen on the show. So we'll wait and see what happens. At the end of the day, it's just, we'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be solid. It's definitely going to be a good thing, but we'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, man alive, it's gonna be one hell of a show. That's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, as far as the show goes, I could say about 1.5 to 2 out of 10, no doubt about it. It was a horrible show. Nothing more to say. Florio, time for your Tony's take.
Yeah. And what a game tonight. I mean, we ended up getting a 5-star. Hell, I'll even say this was a 10-star game here tonight. I mean, 54-51, the Rams over the Chiefs. I mean, wow. That's all there is to say on that. So, all right. I apologize for not being able to do this last week because you know what happened. So we're just gonna move. Just gonna go back into last week's editions of 205 Live and Impact Wrestling, and we started it out with a tag team match. Jack Gallagher and Drew Gulak squaring off against Akira Tozawa and Lee Brian Kendrick. And it was Gallagher and Gulak picking up the win, 8 minutes and 20 seconds, 2 3/4 stars. I mean, it was pretty good, but while Kendrick and Tozawa have worked well together recently, the heels were the more unified force and walked away with the win. So trouble in paradise there. No big surprise here. It was a squash showcase for the Lucha House Party, Kalisto and Lince Dorado. So that was a 2-minute squash. We're not gonna, I'm not gonna waste time on that. That's the only real cutout here. But then we had Cedric Alexander against Lio Rush, and Cedric Alexander goes over 13 minutes 35 seconds, 3.5 stars. Very good match with 2 important stories. Alexander getting off the losing streak. Leo taking his first singles loss on the show. He's a really fun heel. I mean, he's part chicken bleep, part a-hole, but he's obviously talented. But he knows that, and it's a character flaw. His overconfidence cost him all. Cedric's desperation and hard work finally led him to the wins. So I'm going to give this about 7.5 out of 10. I mean, it was a good show. Continuing the feuds between Gallagher and Gulak and Tozawa and Kendrick is as well as the Luchas with TJP and Mike Kanellis. A very good main event, getting Cedric back on track, and they also got in some good build for the Survivor Series as well, and give Cruiserweight a chance, and we saw it last night. So, yep, so 7.5 out of 10, no doubt about that. So now we move on to Impact Wrestling. They've moved. We're in another new venue. They are now in Las Vegas as the first of the tapings in Las Vegas, and started it out with the first of 2 knockouts matches. The knockouts champion Tessa Blanchard against a young lady named Ray Lynn. Tessa Blanchard won it in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. I'll give it 2 stars. I mean, it was a quick and solid squash for Tessa. And it was also announced that Tessa will once again square up with Taya Valkyrie at the January 6th Homecoming pay-per-view for the Knockouts Championship. So there you have it. Then we had LAX in a non-title match against Falaba and KM. LAX win it in 7.5 minutes. 2 3/4 stars, pretty good, and Ba continues to get better. He's continuing to be an actual fun act. Color me surprised. And then Eli Drake with a promo segment and interrupted by the hardcore legend himself, Tommy Dreamer. I mean, the promo work was good, and I'm glad that they dropped the lawsuit angle for Eli Drake's new mission to take out hardcore dudes. I mean, it was pretty solid. Drake is good on the mic, but I still feel like he's being wasted. Non-title match, World Heavyweight Champion Johnny Impact against Matt Sydal. Johnny Impact wins the match, 8 minutes, 15 seconds. 3-star match. Fight of the night, yes. Good match with quality work, but it was kind of straightforward, and there was absolutely no drama in regards to Sydal possibly going over. Another knockout match, Su Yung against a young lady named Heather Monroe. Su Yung won that in 2 minutes, 35 seconds. That was an okay squash. But then Ali with a new look, a demon look. So looks like her and Su Yung. I don't know what's going on there. That could lead to something down the road. X Division title on the line in the main event. Brian Cage against Sami Callihan. Brian Cage successfully defends in 13 minutes and 15 seconds. 2 3/4 stars. I mean, unfortunately, this came off very disappointing. The crowd was not into it. They went to all the trouble of building Sami as the first man to beat Cage, and then they gave it a quality build, and then they give us a match that had no heat and no sense of urgency. There was no point that Sami felt like he had a chance to win. The crowd knew it. I mean, Brian Cage can be great, and Sami has had several incredible matches this year, but that Sami was not there. It was far from bad, but it was the second week in a row with a disappointing main event. 6 1/4 out of 10 is all I can give it. Solid, but it was ultimately flat. I mean, the wrestling was sort of just there. The debut of the Rascals was ridiculous. Eli Drake is still wasted. Killer Cross monologuing after his disappointing turn in the main event does not interest me. And while far from bad, this show was just there. I mean, the best thing they did was start building to that Homecoming pay-per-view with 2 matches set and the heavy tease for LAX against the Lucha Brothers. So that could be some hella fun down the road. So that was a 6 1/4 show. So what can we expect on Turkey Night, Thanksgiving night? Well, this is what we can expect. The infamous. It was really the turkey suit nonsense. That's really all it is. I mean, so we'll just wait and see. I mean, they're calling this the Thanksgiving Turkey Trot. Falaba, KM, Alicia Edwards, Desmond Xavier. And then you've got Kika. You also have and this Kika Toro against Eli Drake, Jake Chris, Katarina, Rohit Raju, and I'm not kidding when I say this, the Disco Inferno. Okay, so I don't think there's anything that needs to be said on that. I'm just gonna bump that to the DVR because the Falcons and the Saints are playing Thanksgiving night, and I would much rather watch that than that. So All right, that'll pretty much put the bow on this disappointing edition of Ridiculously Raw. I mean, not our show. Disappointing Monday Night Raw to say the least. So, yep, MF, come on in, right on cue. Set the table for tomorrow night's Cerebral Smack Talk.
Well, we start off at 10 p.m. Eastern immediately after SmackDown goes off the air, and we're just basically talking about SmackDown Live. I really don't have anything else on the docket. As many of you guys know, Lucha Underground is done for the year. We don't know when they're gonna do a season 5, or even if there is a season 5, even though after the incredible ending to Ultimo Lucha Cuatro, I'm pretty sure there will be a part 5. It's just a season 5. It's just when are they going to do it, and how is it going to be presented? That's going to be amazing to say the very least, and then we'll go from there. So 10 p.m. Eastern, we got SmackDown Live, the fallout from Survivor Series, and then if there's other stuff, I'll let you guys know. So until then, have a good night, everybody. Anthony, take it home.
All right, so that's 10 p.m. tomorrow night. And while I have you, what time would be good for the football feast on Wednesday night if you can make it?
Man, I don't know, because I might be working late. Normally, we always set up for Black Friday, so I might not even be on the show. I'm just going to be real honest with you. Best chance for me is probably going to be Friday, but I'm just letting you know right now.
All right, so hopefully we'll have Bullock on, and maybe he and I can work out a time. But so there you have it. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m., we have the Cerebral Smack Talk. You heard MF lay out the docket there. I guess it's pretty much going to be just SmackDown Live, and that's fine. And then Wednesday night, time to be determined. We will have our football feast show, run down the 3 Thanksgiving NFL games and the college slate. And then Friday night, we'll run down the rest of the NFL slate on NFL Friday. And ooh, that's all I can say there. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF on Braceway 95, it's your ridiculously over good brother Anthony Florio here. Just for me, because in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, and Dee Dee Woodson, along with Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Porch Support style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Tuesday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, keep it watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 and YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.